Welcome to Your Life Story, a space to explore the journey from survival to authenticity. I'm Sajine, and here we dive into raw truths of breaking free from the expectations we've grown up with, rediscovering our voices, and thriving after life's challenges. But this isn't just about my story. It's about life, from relationships and self-discovery to the messy, beautiful questions we all face. No topic is off limits here. So if you're ready to embrace courage, healing, and living life on your own terms, you're in the right place. Let's connect. Let's grow. Welcome to the journey. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. I'm not a licensed therapist, counselor, or medical professional, and the content shared here is based on the personal experiences and insights. If you're facing significant challenges, please seek the support of a qualified professional. Remember, your journey is unique, and you deserve the care and guidance that's right for you. Welcome. I am happy to have you all here with me today. Today's podcast is titled Beauty, Control, and Taking Back Your Power. This is such an important part of our lives, especially us women. Why? Because I believe this is something that we've grown up with, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. We are going to be talking about beauty, shame, and self-worth today. It is something that is a universal struggle with many women today and even in the past. But today we're going to talk about our present and how we can move forward on it. I'll be talking about my story of growing up and the many confusing messages that I received from family, religion, and marriage, and how I broke free, and how you too, as listeners, can break free as well. So, I want to say today's episode is about something every woman has struggled with at some point: beauty. What it means, what we're told it should be, how it has been used to control us. I'll share my story from being praised for my looks as a child, to shamed as a teenager, to broken down in marriage, and how I finally found freedom. And by the end, I'll give you real ways to reclaim your beauty on your terms. All right, we're going to talk about childhood and early conditioning. You know, I am of Hispanic descent, and I was considered amazingly beautiful. Why? Because I have fair skin, hazel eyes, and I was born with blonde and red hair. As I grew up, it has now turned more into a light brown, but I've had many things, because it even went dark brown later on. But it's now, I guess you would say, a mix, but it's all there. I think it's important to know that in societies, if you are fair-skinned, you're treated better than others. I'll be sharing a story. Oh, actually, I'm just going to share it now because I think it's important. When I grew up, at least from what I've been told, is that I was such a beautiful baby that there was actually a pretty wealthy family in the state that had a business. And from what I heard is that they actually approached my family and they said that they wanted to adopt me because I was so beautiful. And my mother said, "No, you cannot have my child." And I think that's when that started. And, to me, it was pretty hard because being a child, you grow up, you're taught that you have to wear your little dresses, they curl your hair, they make sure your eyes are beautiful, your, facial features are glowing. And that is what defines you right off the bat, if you're going to be beautiful or not. As I started growing up more, the situation was that I saw so much toxic yelling and whatnot in my family. I became shyer and shyer every time. But, it was still told that I had to be beautiful. I had to wear the dresses. My hair had to always be curly and beautiful. I could not leave, the home, even to school, without looking like, I was someone of value. And I just can't place it all on my family or my heritage. But even in schools, who are the ones who get the most attention? All the pretty ones, right? It's not the ones who are just, just getting by with messy hair, being an awesome kid, because that's what life should be about. No, it's the ones that are beautiful. The situation is that since I was so shy, that people started noticing only that, and they would not even get near me. And then I became ostracized and treated poorly. But then I always noticed that I felt like there was some type of jealousy that I was beautiful and people would treat me horrible. And because my self-esteem was not there, then it went deep into me, and then I went even more quiet. The thing is in this society, when you are beautiful, it equals value, but also beauty is a danger, because then you get told many horrible things that you are, which you're not, And, the thing is, I was growing up, I really didn't have good role modeling as far as in my family. Why? Because my father was not always, positive towards women, the comments he would say. And it would make me not feel very healthy. I felt shame. And it was also that way with my mother. The thing is if I was beautiful, she was happy. But as I got older, I was told that if I looked too pretty, then I was of bad rapport of who I was becoming. And that also affected me mentally. And I started wearing baggy clothing, and I would be hunched over. I didn't want people to see me. My hair would start covering my face. Why? Because I did not want to be seen as somebody that brought in attention, because I did not want the wrong attention coming towards me. So, did you ever feel like you were only praised for your appearance as a child? Or maybe criticized for not being enough? How did that shape you? So now I'm stepping in to my teenage years, which was hard. Why? Because there was lots of shame and confusion. The thing is, like I said, the beauty became a curse, because if you're too beautiful, you were called a type of woman that, walks the streets for money. It was not something that you wanted to be known for. But if you were too little of beauty, then you became invisible. Or here comes what? The bullies, right? Those individuals that start making fun of you. They start nitpicking everything that is on your body, when actually you're just a child. Everybody goes through it. Maybe not some. Some are blessed with always looking awesome. But then, you know what? There's that time where, things don't fit how they should. But guess what? We all blossom at the end. And I think that's great, And the thing is people can be very cruel. I was so shy, and my insecurities showed through. And even to this day, decades later, it was something that I had to learn. The insecurity that is rampant in you is terrible. Why? Because, when I was a teen, you wanted to express yourself with beauty and with clothing, right? With makeup. This is the first time where you're now trying to see how beautiful you are. And for some reason, makeup was made for the young skin, because now At an older age, I do not like it because it fills in the creases, or maybe it's just the makeup. I don't know. It's just too dry, and now you look like you're made up too much. But of course, like someone I heard said, you have to switch to a better makeup if it doesn't look better now, because while we evolve, and our beauty is not always just in our clothing and our makeup. So I want you to reflect this. Maybe you've been in that place too, feeling like you could never win. Too much, not enough. Beautiful, but shamed. Invisible, but lonely. That confusion stays with us if we don't challenge it. I loved it. There was times when I knew the beauty was there, and these individuals would treat me horribly, because why? They were jealous. I didn't think that back in the day because I always thought everybody was more beautiful than me. And I now see pictures and it hurts because I'm like, this whole time I thought everybody was prettier than me, when in actuality I was beautiful. And to have those lost years thinking such negative thoughts about your beauty is terrible, because you can't get it back. And I'm not saying we get uglier as we get older, but we have that prime sweet spot where we start looking gorgeous. And if we don't embrace it, then it consumes us and we don't get to see that beauty. I remember getting perms in my hair. I remember trying to find the most beautiful clothing. I wanted to be seen. And unfortunately, once you got labeled, shy and insecure, it didn't matter how beautiful some people you were, because all they wanted to do was bring you back down, because they were thinking, how dare you're now seeing your beauty. And it was not something that made me happy. There was times where I got treated horribly. There was a time in my latter teen years when I decided to go to a church that now said, if you put makeup on, if you make your hair look nice, if you put hair dye, perfume, if you wear certain clothing, you are not a good woman. Why? Because now you're making men sin for the way that you dress, by the way that you look. So all they wanted you to be is, fresh washed face, very, even just black clothing. So then that way it almost made you look like you were always in a funeral, if that was what they wanted, and it was terrible, because in your heart, all you wanted was to go to heaven. And you thought, if my worth, if I start making myself look beautiful, that takes it away, then you took it away. But the thing is I always had that spark in me where I was like, no, you can't take that away from me. I'm going to still try to figure out how much I can get away with without getting in trouble, because I believed, I was like, this is the time when I'm starting to look beautiful. How dare you try to take that away from me? Some people are just very cruel. Then came marriage. Actually, before we get on there, I remember there was a time when I had so many suitors that were trying to get my attention. And that's how I knew that my beauty was there. But at the same time, I still doubted it. And that's why I believe that even if we have children, or even for ourselves, we need to start seeing the beauty and not fear it. You're not going to become somebody who thinks they're better than anybody else. No, it's actually something that you see. And if you can embrace it, you actually help others embrace it, because I think it's important. It's not this challenge to make somebody else feel worthless, because the inner beauty that comes in as well helps everybody become better people. Okay, so let's move to marriage and destruction of self-worth. This one's hard. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that some of the things that I will say are pretty strong. Maybe not shocking for many, because a lot of women go through it, but it is a strong thing, Felt sad because at first I thought I was beautiful. And that's why my then husband chose me. And I thought, oh, I now have worth. He saw my beauty and now he chose me. And I'm going to move forward with that. You know, the thing is, you can say, oh, well, she was dumb and anything like that. No, the thing is I didn't fall for other people who tried to make me feel this way because I knew through them. The problem is I did not know that he was so good at his manipulation games and I didn't see it, you know. And how many decades I stayed in that pain floors me, and the way that they tear you down, but at the same time that you want to survive to see another day, you do what you have to do. So I was never enough for him. There was the times when I didn't feel good about my chest, and I spoke to him and I said, can I get, breast implants? And he looked at me like, how dare you even ask that? You know what religion we're in, and you shouldn't be thinking that way. So I got shamed that way. But then the next comment that came along, he said, well, as long as I can play with them, then you're good. In that moment, I felt like the most horrible person in the world. I just wanted to shrink and hide. I felt so disgusted in the way that he made me feel. And I was like, how dare you say that? Because you're telling me I'm a horrible person if I do. But now, as long as there's a use, then it's okay. But now it's made me feel even worse. And I get it. I know what it's for. I know it's to make yourself feel more beautiful. I'm not going to shame anyone who has had them, or has had them and removed them, or who just doesn't want them, or who's always wanted them and never received them. That is not my purpose here. My purpose here is that it was a painful situation that I had to hear. It is not okay to hear that. The thing is, like I said, I was never enough. It was always that the other women were more beautiful and I was just me. It was almost like I was bothering him that I existed. The thing is, I would be told I don't look Hispanic enough. Why? Because I'm not wearing the, stereotypical thing that he said. Mini skirts, showing my chest, makeup, big hair, everything like that. High heels. And I was like, okay, I'm not that. And nor is it a bad thing if you are, It's whatever the person decides to choose what is best in their skin. But if I started to wear something in the line similar to it, I was told a very horrible word that I was one of those women. And it totally hurt me because I was like, really? Because these double standards came from religion as well. No makeup, modesty, fear of making men sin. And now he was telling me that. So he was giving me two different types of information that were so conflicting. And I was like, I don't fit in anything of that. I don't want to be part of your mind games. This created deep shame and hatred toward myself, my beauty, and it upset me. And like I said, it took me so long to get over that. But you know what? That is the one good thing that came out of my divorce, is that I actually got to see myself. Has anyone ever told you that you are not enough? not skinny enough, not curvy enough, not beautiful enough. That voice gets into your head and makes you believe lies about yourself. I want you to know you are not alone. The time that I came and broke free was something so interesting. It's when COVID actually hit. I decided, guess what? I am no longer putting makeup on. At first, I felt fear. I felt shame, like I was breaking the law, that I did not have makeup. Then relief, empowerment, discovery of natural beauty came in. The thing is now I rather have myself well nourished. I put my lotions on my face. I do wear, like I said, a makeup occasionally, but it is not something that I need all the time. And it feels great. Why? Because I get compliments. Why? Because the connection came even without me wearing makeup. It came from my own authenticity and my personality that radiated the beauty as well. And I challenge you, try it. It feels great. It makes you feel like you're living in power. Your skincare becomes greater than covering up flaws, which I still don't believe. It is none of our, the rest of the business. If you do want to cover up those flaws, go ahead and do it. Why? Because whatever brings you your happiness and peace of mind, do it. Makeup is as a choice, not a mask. Let's start thinking, what makes us feel beautiful? We're dressing for ourselves. We're not dressing for anybody else. I dress, for my comfort. And I have so many different types of different clothing options. I can dress however I want. Sporty, feminine, just loungewear, or my summer wear now. And I feel great. So I want you to know you can find freedom of choice in the makeup, procedures, no makeup, natural. You decide. Why? Beauty is not something someone else gets to define for you. It is something you choose for yourself. When you take that power back, you stop living for their gaze and start living for your soul. So I want you to take some practical steps on a journal prompt. When do I feel most beautiful and why? Challenge you. Go one day this week without makeup and see how you feel. A self-affirmation. I am beautiful because I exist, not because I fit a mold. Find clothing that makes you feel good in your body, not for others' approval. Remember, free will. You're allowed to define your own standards. I want you to choose what resonates better for you. This is the time for you to shine. It is time to step away from the molds that people have. I've seen celebrities who wear a ton of makeup. Some wear artistic makeup. And some are now deciding to go without makeup. But they're still embracing their skin, making sure they feel well and that they're nourished. And it's time that we started choosing what nourishes us, because I believe we're very important individuals and I don't want anybody to suffer. I think it's time to take our power back. Because life is too short for us to be always, seeing what somebody else wants. I'm always letting my own children, hey, you know what? You get to choose what makes you feel great, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel embraced. But don't let anybody else, tell you how you need to dress, how to look. Why? Because, what? Why are we asking people? Or why are we following people that don't even know us or wouldn't even want the best for us? Why don't we start choosing what is the best for us? If we want to have all natural makeup, there's great products out there. Choose them. If you don't want to wear it, that's fine as well. Just make sure you put your, lovely all natural sunblocks, sunscreens, anything that will help you feel more beautiful and radiant, but also protects you in the skin, because we want to make sure we take care of ourselves. It's important. So I want to thank you for listening. I think it's important that you actually get the things that you want in life. I think it's important that you stop shaming yourself. Whether you love makeup, surgery, natural beauty, the point point is, do it for yourself. I invite you to share your experiences on Instagram, DM me, or join my soon-to clarity sessions. I want to bring this for you. It's important that you have this. I just want to pray for you today that you stop letting the world telling you who you should be, and instead stand boldly in who you already are. You're beautiful, always have been, and always will be. So thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Your Life Story with Sajine. I hope it gave you something to think about, feel, or explore on your own journey. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share it with someone who might need it or reach out to connect. Thank you so much.